Hey man, let me tell you about Tom Cruise. Seriously, this guy has had one of the wildest and most impressive careers in Hollywood. He's been in the game for over 4 decades, and he's still going strong, doing his own stunts, breaking box office records, and surprising everyone with how he keeps leveling up. Whether you're a fan or not, you've got to admit, the guy's a machine. So Cruise was born on July 3rd, 1962, in Syracuse, New York. His real name is Thomas Cruise Mapother IV. Yeah, it's a mouthful. He didn't exactly have an easy childhood. His family moved around a lot, and he grew up in a pretty strict household. He struggled with dyslexia too, which made school tough. But despite all that, he had this drive. He originally wanted to be a priest, believe it or not, but then he caught the acting bug and never looked back. He got his first taste of Hollywood in the early 80s. One of his early roles was in Taps, 1981, where he played a military cadet. Then he started getting noticed in movies like The Outsiders and Risky Business. The one where he slides across the floor in his underwear? Classic. That scene alone made him a star overnight. Suddenly, Cruise was the face of a new generation of actors. But it was Top Gun in 1986 that really launched him into superstardom. He played Maverick, this cocky fighter pilot, and suddenly every guy wanted to be him, and every girl wanted to date him. The movie was massive, the soundtrack was iconic, and Tom Cruise became a household name. And the best part? He didn't stop there. Throughout the late 80s and 90s, Cruise just kept hitting home runs. He did The Color of Money with Paul Newman, Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman, and Born on the 4th of July, where he played a paralyzed Vietnam vet. That one showed people he wasn't just a pretty face, he could really act. He got his first Oscar nomination for it too. That role was intense and emotional, and it made people take him seriously as a dramatic actor. Then came the 90s power era. He was in A Few Good Men. You remember that You Can't Handle the Truth scene? That's the one. Then The Firm, where he played a young lawyer uncovering a corrupt law firm, An Interview with the Vampire, where he transformed into the eerie and seductive vampire Lestat. It was a bold move, and he nailed it. Of course, you can't forget Jerry Maguire. Man, that movie was huge. Show Me the Money became part of pop culture. Cruise played a sports agent with a moral crisis, and it was one of his most heartfelt performances. He was nominated for another Oscar, and honestly, he probably should have won. And just when you thought he couldn't do more, he launched the Mission Impossible franchise in 1996. He played Ethan Hunt, this rogue secret agent who always ends up doing insane stunts. But here's the thing. Cruise actually does most of his own stunts, like hanging off airplanes, jumping from buildings, scaling cliffs. He's done it all. That's what makes him different. He doesn't fake it, he lives it. The franchise has been a massive success. Every installment gets more intense. People thought it would run out of steam, but nope, it just keeps getting better. Mission Impossible Fallout was probably one of the best action movies of the last decade. And the next two sequels, yeah, he's already got them lined up. But his career hasn't been all smooth sailing. The 2000s were kind of rocky for him. His involvement with Scientology made headlines, and that infamous couch-jumping moment on Oprah? Yeah, people started seeing him as a bit intense. There was a time when his public image took a hit. Some studios hesitated to work with him, but the guy never quit. He kept working, kept making movies, and over time, people came back around. He did Collateral, where he played a hitman, completely different from his usual roles. Then there was War of the Worlds, which teamed him up with Steven Spielberg. It was a big blockbuster that proved Cruise could still draw huge audiences. Valkyrie came after that, a WO2 thriller where he played a German officer trying to assassinate Hitler. Bold role, and he pulled it off. Then you've got Edge of Tomorrow, that sci-fi movie where he keeps reliving the same day and becomes this unlikely war hero. It was like Groundhog Day meets Starship Troopers, and it was fantastic. He trained hard, did all the action himself, and totally delivered. One thing people don't always notice about Cruise is how strategic he is. He knows what works, and he's super involved in every aspect of production. He's not just showing up to act. He's hands-on with stunts, camera work, and even editing. He's obsessed with getting it right. And then he brought back Maverick in Top Gun Maverick. 2022. That movie was huge, like massive. Not only did it bring back the nostalgia, but it also reminded everyone why Tom Cruise is still a top-tier star. He trained the younger cast, flew real fighter jets, and made a movie that connected with both old fans and new ones. It made over $1 billion worldwide. At that point, it was clear Tom Cruise wasn't just back, he never really left. People respect him now more than ever. He's seen as the guy who saved movie theaters post-pandemic. While others were streaming releases, Cruise insisted that Top Gun Maverick be seen in theaters. And guess what? He was right. It brought people back to the big screen and made cinema exciting again. He's one of the few stars who can still carry a blockbuster just with his name. No superheroes, no franchises. Well, besides Mission Impossible. Just Cruise being Cruise. He's a perfectionist, kind of obsessive, but that's why his movies deliver. And even if you're not a fan of his personal life or beliefs, when it comes to acting and entertainment, the guy's a legend. So what's next? More Mission Impossible, of course. He's pushing the boundaries even further, doing stunts that make your palms sweat just watching them. There's talk of him doing a movie in space with NASA. Not kidding. He literally wants to go to space to shoot a scene. Who else is doing that? No one. And here's the kicker. He's not slowing down. At 60 plus, he's still in top shape, still doing all his own stunts, still giving everything he's got. He's setting a new standard for what an action star can be. So yeah, that's the story of Tom Cruise. From a kid with a tough start to one of the most iconic and dedicated action stars ever. What's your favorite Tom Cruise movie? Top Gun? Mission Impossible? Or maybe one of the underrated ones like Magnolia or The Last Samurai? Let me know. I'd love to hear your take.